What's up, guys? It's Patricia from Tarantula Heaven, and today I wanted to talk about something kind of personal, actually, a really embarrassing story that I have never told anybody, and I don't even really want to tell it, but I think that it will be helpful to beginners, especially. And I know that since people really love hearing about Spidey and love hearing stories about her and being updated about things that she does or how I take care of her, I felt like it might be a useful video, especially for beginners, of things to not do when you're first becoming a new tarantula owner. So this story is particularly embarrassing because it shows just how uninformed I was, and it shows how easily mistakes can happen and how fatal they can be. So here it goes. So when I first got Spidey, I had no issues getting her into the tank, and for the first few days, everything was fine. I worked up the courage to touch her and hold her, and I had done, research on how to properly hold tarantulas, and that wasn't really an issue for me. But I was also kind of didn't really know her body language just yet, or tarantula temperament, and that's something that I talk about a lot in previous videos and posts on my website. And so spiders take a little while to settle in, and I was holding her a lot because she was pacing her tank, and I took that as a sign as she wanted to be held and that she liked me holding her a lot. But now I notice, as a more experienced tarantula owner and knowing way more about tarantula behavior than I did before, that that's a sign that they're very anxious, they're stressed out, and that you should actually be leaving tarantulas alone for quite a few days when they're first getting settled into a tank. So that was my first mistake, was trying to handle her a lot, and but it gets worse. So this one particular time, I was holding Spidey for quite a bit. I was kind of putting her back in her tank, then holding her, putting her back in her tank. And things were okay. She was kind of anxious, but not giving me any warning signs or anything like that. And, I had done some research, so I knew not to handle her too close to the ground. I was actually sitting on the floor when this happened, and she was close to her tank. So that's how I was holding her, because I knew that I wasn't experienced, and I didn't want anything to happen to her. But the issue was that I had kind of looked over to her in my hand, and she had just been sitting still, just on my hand like this. And I noticed that her fangs were extended. And that was when I kind of freaked out. I actually, without even thinking about it, did one of these. And luckily, my hand was right near the tank, and she didn't fall far. It was maybe this kind of a distance. And luckily she landed right side up, but what if she hadn't? I don't think, I always make jokes about tarantulas being like cats because of the way Spidey acts sometimes, but they're not like that. Cats will usually land on their feet, but I was lucky that Spidey landed on hers and that she wasn't really hurt, because if you know anything about tarantulas, a fall can be super fatal, or you can get a really bad injury. And the majority of accidental deaths for tarantulas are actually from their owners dropping them. Some careless accident like that. So that was a bad mistake on my part. I totally panicked, and it just goes to show that when I first got her, I always said to myself, oh, if she's gonna bite me, I'll just take it. I don't want to hurt her. I'm not gonna have reflexes or anything like that. But in that moment, I saw just how I didn't even think about it. I just reacted and just did that, and she was back in her tank, and luckily she was okay. But that's something that I've been really ashamed of, and I think that other beginners can probably relate. And to bring this back to the conversation about body language and not being fully informed, I've learned a lot about tarantula body language since then, and temperament, and getting used to Spidey's behaviors and the way she normally is versus when she's really anxious. And I did not have to react that way if I had known more about her body language. But she was not actually going to bite me. And now that I'm more experienced, I know that tarantulas display their fangs for more reasons than whether they're going to bite you. I've seen Spidey just like relaxing in her tank, letting her fangs fall a little bit, like she's just letting her fangs hang out. And I've also seen her display her fangs when she's bathing. And in this instance, when she was in my hand, she was not in a threat pose or acting defensively at all. She was not rearing up. She was not looking like she was going to strike me. She was actually just very calm, not really moving at all. It's just that her fangs were extended. So I think that if I had just paused and waited a second, I would have noticed that, like, oh, she's just like hanging out right now, or she was going to start bathing or something. So now that I know that, it's a really stupid, embarrassing mistake that totally could have been avoided. And it just showed me that even though you think that you're going to react one way and be able to save your spider in case, there is some sort of striking or anything like that, you really don't know how you're going to react. Sometimes your body just reacts like that, and before you know it, you could have a hurt tarantula. So that was my lesson. I have been way more careful about handling Spidey since then, and I've been very diligent about giving her her space. I do not handle her a lot anymore, and I test her temperament a lot. So, I never want to put her in that sort of situation again. But hopefully you can learn something about my mistake. It just goes to show that we all start out making mistakes, and even if you have done a lot of research, or what you think is a lot of research when you're first getting into this hobby, you're always learning, and there's a lot to learn. It's really easy to miss things when you're first starting out. So I hope that helps, and I hope it gives you something more to think about if you were thinking about getting a tarantula, or if you're thinking about handling a tarantula, and it keeps you a little bit more informed about the risks. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe or give it a thumbs up. I'm enjoying building the YouTube channel and connecting with all of you, so that's been really awesome. And if you'd like to know more, you can always head over to Spidey's blog to see what she's up to. You can also follow my Tumblr blog, Tarantula Cuties, if you are interested in seeing more tarantulas every day and a lot of other cool spider stuff. And last but not least, you can also check out my website, tarantulaheaven.com, for weekly articles and sign up for my newsletter. And you can also download my tarantula guide, which I will leave in the comments a link to. And yeah, so that's where to find me, and I will see you next time.